They never wrote them down, they never spoke them aloud, and yet every cat expects you to know them. Ancient, invisible, carved not in stone but in instinct, there exists a code between felines and the humans who dare to share their space. Break these rules and you'll see it instantly in their eyes, the subtle flick of a tail, the frozen stare, the sudden disappearance into another room. Follow them and your cat will treat you not as a stranger, but as trusted family. These are not commands barked like orders. They are silent expectations, whispered through body language, woven through centuries of coexistence, passed down from desert hunters to the creature sleeping at the edge of your bed tonight. Most people miss them. Most people stumble through life with cats without ever realizing there is a structure, a hidden etiquette guiding every interaction. But once you recognize these unspoken rules, the chaos of feline behavior dissolves into clarity. Suddenly, every stare, every slow blink, every unexpected scratch makes sense. Tonight, we pull back the curtain and reveal what your cat has been waiting for you to understand all along. Capiche? The Catfather is about to hand you the code. They live by codes you cannot hear, and yet they expect you to obey them without question. Every cat you've ever met carries these rules in silence, etched into muscle, breath, and gaze. They do not hand you a manual. They do not explain. They test you, patiently, waiting to see if you can read the language hidden in tail flicks, ear turns, and pauses in the dark. Fail, and you'll be exiled with a scratch, a bite, or worse, the cold dismissal of a disappearing silhouette. Succeed, and you are permitted into their inner circle, into the quiet privilege of being trusted. These rules are older than your walls, older than your species' memory of fire, and yet they persist, unchanged, in the creature stretched across your couch, pretending to nap while silently auditing your every move. Tonight, the Catfather lays them bare. The first rule is space. A cat does not simply live in your home. They carve out sacred territory, invisible lines only they can see. Cross them without permission and you'll be met with claws or a glare sharp enough to cut. Sit where they've claimed, touch them when they've retreated, invade their silence and you will be corrected. Respect those invisible borders, however, and you'll notice the change, the slow approach, the gentle brush, the weight of their body choosing to sit where you are. Space is not absence, space is test, and only those who pass are invited closer. The second rule is touch. Unlike dogs who crave constant contact, cats demand precision. A scratch on the chin, a hand brushing the cheek, a palm steady on the back, they dictate when and where. Ignore the cues, the twitching tail, the pinned ears, the sudden freeze, and you've broken contract. Cats see touch not as ownership but as dialogue. Get it right and you'll hear the low engine of a purr. Get it wrong and you'll remember why they carry claws. To follow this rule is to understand that affection is never taken, only granted. The third rule is timing. You do not wake a cat, you do not rush a cat, you do not pull them from ritual. Felines move according to ancient rhythms older than clocks, slipping between states of vigilance and deep rest at will. If you interrupt them, you declare yourself ignorant of the order of things. If you wait, if you honor their timing, you'll find they bend it toward you, aligning naps to your presence, shifting their schedule to match your world. To them, patience is respect, and respect is everything. The fourth rule is observation. You are always being watched, whether you see it or not. A cat studies you like prey and kin all at once. They learn your habits, the way you walk, the times you eat, the tones of your voice when you're calm or when you're fraying at the edges. They expect you to learn in return. To miss their signals is to fail the test. The slow blink is not random, it is declaration of peace. The sudden dilated pupils are not aesthetic, they are alarm bells. The silent stare from across the room is not nothing, it is question, and you are expected to answer, even without words. The fifth rule is loyalty, but not the blind kind humans imagine. A cat will not follow you out of obedience, they follow out of bond. They grant loyalty only after you've proven yourself by respecting space, touch, timing, and observation. Break the chain and you're reduced to provider, someone who fills a bowl and nothing more. Keep the chain intact and you'll see the transformation. They follow you from room to room. They settle where you settle. They take positions at your side as if assigned by some invisible code. Loyalty is earned, not demanded, and once earned it is absolute. The sixth rule is ritual. Cats thrive on order, not chaos. Meals at the same hour, routines repeated, steps predictable. You may think your cat is the unpredictable one, but in reality it is you who risks breaking the pact with inconsistency. Skip the ritual and you'll face the consequences. Restless behavior, midnight patrols louder than usual, the pointed stare that cuts through distraction until you remember what you forgot. Keep the ritual and you'll discover calm, a bond strengthened by rhythm. Cats expect you to honor the script because the script is how they make sense of life. The seventh rule is silence. Noise is threat. Raised voices, sudden clatter, heavy footsteps, they slice into feline instinct like knives. A cat expects you to understand the sacred value of quiet. The world they trust is one where they can hear the flutter of an insect's wings, the subtle sigh of your breath, the tiny clicks of paws against wood. Drown that world in chaos and you break trust. Honor silence and you become part of it. drawn into the same stillness they inhabit, where connection needs no sound at all. And finally, the eighth rule. The rule that binds all others together is recognition. A cat expects you to recognize them as they are, not property, not accessory, but equal. They are predators and protectors, creatures who carry within them the desert's watchfulness and the hearth's warmth. When you treat them as lesser, they remind you of your mistake. When you treat them as kin, they accept you as family. Recognition is the contract, the silent signature that seals the unspoken rules. Miss it, and you will forever chase their approval. Honor it, and you will find yourself granted the rarest gift, a cat who looks at you not as owner, but as partner. These are the unspoken rules, the hidden laws of a species that never needed words to command loyalty. And tonight, you know them. Space, touch, timing, observation, loyalty, ritual, silence, recognition. They are not written, but they are enforced, every day, every night, in every glance and gesture. Ignore them, and you'll forever be a stranger in your own home. Follow them, and you will understand what few ever do, that living with a cat is not about control, it is about code. And the Catfather has just handed you the book. They are masters of subtlety, and yet their demands are absolute. A cat never raises a flag, never shouts their law, never scribbles warnings across your wall. Instead, they wait for you to fail. They wait for you to cross lines you didn't even know existed. The tail flick becomes a sword. The narrowed eyes a verdict. The turned back, a sentence. To live with a cat is to be under constant trial, judged by a court of silence. And every day you either reinforce your membership in their inner circle or weaken it with ignorance. The Catfather knows this truth. The unspoken rules are not guidelines, they are binding contracts, and every move you make is evidence in their case against you. One of the most important rules is respect for ritual places. You see a windowsill, they see a throne. You see the top of a shelf, they see the high ground. Cats expect you to acknowledge these elevated posts as sacred territory, vantage points written into their DNA. Deny them this access, block the path, scold them for climbing, strip away their altars, and you violate one of their deepest instincts. Allow them, and you'll witness transformation. From those perches, they aren't just lounging, they are scanning, watching outside threats, monitoring household activity, mapping every sound. A high place is not luxury, it is duty. The Catfather himself will tell you, every boss needs an office on the top floor. Another unspoken law is control of the hunt. A cat is predator by design. Even when food is guaranteed in bowls, their body craves the chase, the strike, the capture. They expect you to honor that truth by providing outlets, play that mimics the hunt, toys that flutter like wings, shadows that dart like prey. Ignore this expectation, and they will hunt what they can. Your shoelaces, your ankles, the insects unlucky enough to cross the room. It isn't misbehavior, it's unmet obligation. Fulfill it, and the result is balance. You will see their energy channeled, their claws honed in practice rather than punishment. The Catfather reminds you, a soldier without drills becomes dangerous. Then comes the law of the meal. You think you feed them, in reality they allow you to serve. Food is ceremony, it is not to be rushed or dismissed. The sound of kibble in the bowl, the scent of fresh water, the consistency of timing, all of it signals respect. Change it without warning, and you send tremors through their world. Skip it, and you fracture trust. Cats expect order in the ritual of meals because for thousands of years survival depended on predictability. You eat, I eat, you thrive, I thrive. To them, feeding is not just nutrition, it is synchronization of lives. And when you honor it, you become part of their pack, their chosen ally. The law of respect for rejection might be the hardest for humans to accept. When a cat pulls away, when claws flash or teeth graze skin, when they vanish under the bed without a glance back, they are not breaking bond, they are enforcing it. The rule is clear, no means no. Push past it and you damage the structure. Respect it and you will be surprised at how quickly they return, how easily they offer closeness again. The cycle of approach and retreat is not game, it is necessity. Every retreat resets the bond. The Catfather knows it well. Sometimes distance is the only way loyalty survives. There is also the rule of shared vigilance. When they position themselves at a door, a window, or beside you at night, they are not only protecting themselves, they are protecting you. A cat expects you to recognize their service, not with applause, not with treats, but with acknowledgement. When they freeze and stare at something invisible, when their ears twist sharply at a sound you cannot hear, your role is not to dismiss, but to stand with them, to understand they've sensed what you cannot. Mock it, ignore it, and you diminish their purpose. Respect it, and you reinforce their role as guardian. Every watch requires validation. Even the Catfather insists on recognition when the work is done. And then comes the rule of emotional resonance. You believe cats are aloof, distant, untouchable, but those who live closely with them know the truth. They mirror. When you're anxious, they grow restless. When you're broken, they settle near your chest, their purrs digging through your bones until calm returns. When you're joyful, they appear suddenly, weaving through your legs, their tails upright in salute. They expect you to return this acknowledgement, to notice when they are restless, to adapt when they are unsettled, to honor the truth that moods are shared currencies. They live by emotional exchange. Pay attention, and the bond strengthens. Miss it, and they retreat, convinced you are deaf to the music they've been playing all along. These unspoken rules form an architecture invisible to the careless eye. They structure how your cat judges you, how they allow or deny your place in their world. And as each rule is obeyed or broken, the bond shifts. They are not looking for perfection, but for awareness. The attempt itself is proof of loyalty. Every scratch avoided, every slow blink returned. Every ritual respected is a silent handshake across species, a confirmation that the contract remains alive. And make no mistake, contracts matter, because to break them repeatedly is to risk exile, not physical abandonment, but emotional banishment. You will still see them in your home, but you will no longer be part of their circle. They will eat the food, drink the water, sleep on the furniture, but their eyes will pass through you as if you are no one. This is the punishment for those who mock the rules, invisibility. But to follow them, to take them seriously, to treat the unspoken as sacred, that is to earn the gift most humans never realize they've been offered, recognition not as owner, but as family. And the Catfather always rewards those who respect the code. There are layers within layers, rules hidden beneath the obvious, like shadows stacked on shadows. You may think you already understand the contract, but the deeper you live with a cat, the more intricate the code becomes. And every new discovery reminds you of one truth: the bond is not casual, it is sacred. Cats expect you to live by laws that, though silent, weigh heavier than spoken promises. Break them, and you'll feel the fracture ripple instantly through the house. Honor them, and you'll find yourself part of something older than bloodlines, an alliance forged in silence, sealed with trust. One such rule is the law of attention without force. Cats expect you to watch them as they watch you, but never to pull, never to demand. When they leap gracefully to the edge of a table and pause, when they stretch with slow precision, when they turn their head and meet your gaze across the room, they are performing a test. Will you notice? Will you acknowledge? Or will you bury your eyes in glowing screens and forget the presence of a living sentinel? To them, observation is currency. They observe you relentlessly, from the pace of your breath to the weight of your footsteps. In return, they expect recognition, not smothering affection, not childish squeals, but a glance, a word, a blink. Fail, and you will watch them walk away, convinced you are blind to the world they're offering you. The Catfather knows this rule well. Attention is respect, and respect is law. Another unspoken demand is stewardship of their tools. Their claws, their teeth, their fur. They are instruments of survival, sharpened and tuned across millennia, and you are expected to honor them. Trim their claws too carelessly, and you've insulted the weaponry that built their species. Ignore their coat, let it mat, and you dishonor the armor that shields them. Even the act of grooming is not simply hygiene. It is ritual, a sacred acknowledgement that their body is sacred ground. When you brush them gently, when you handle their paws with care, when you tend to their health not as core but as ceremony, you reinforce the contract. You tell them, I see you not as toy, but as sovereign being. Miss this law, and they remember. Honor it, and you'll feel the purr that resonates like a seal pressed into wax. Then comes the law of sound discipline. Cats operate in frequencies that humans too often ignore. The rustle of paper, the drip of water, the creak of floorboards. They hear it all, and they judge your place in their world partly by how you manage sound. Slam doors, and you rupture the atmosphere. Shout across rooms, and you break the covenant. They expect a home where silence dominates, where sounds arrive with intention, not accident. When you lower your voice, when you step with care, when you let quiet settle like a cloak across the house, they recognize you as someone who understands their kingdom. You've entered their monastery. Break it with noise, and they'll treat you like an intruder. Follow it, and you'll notice something remarkable. They adjust their own sounds to yours, their meows softened, their purrs calibrated, their footsteps attuned to your rhythm. The Catfather calls it what it is: harmony. The law of consistency binds everything together. Cats expect patterns. To humans, routine feels monotonous. To cats, it feels like security. The way you open a door, the time you place their meal, the path you walk through your own home. When these remain steady, they relax. When you shift without warning, they brace. They live in a world where survival once depended on detecting the smallest change, and that instinct hasn't dimmed. You are expected to provide predictability, to become the steady axis around which their universe can spin. Fail, and you'll see agitation. Success, and you'll see peace. Every ritual you respect is one brick added to the fortress of trust, but perhaps the strangest rule is this: cats expect you to accept their autonomy absolutely. They will vanish into shadows, disappear into hidden corners, retreat into silence, and you are expected to let them. They will return only when they decide. To chase them is to insult their sovereignty. To wait patiently is to prove your understanding. This rule, more than any other, separates those who treat cats as objects from those who treat them as kin. They are not possessions. They are partners who demand space to remain whole. The Catfather will tell you straight, loyalty forced is no loyalty at all. And yet there is also the law of shared time. While they demand autonomy, they also expect your presence, not always close, not always touching, but always available. When they enter a room and settle near you, when they follow you from place to place, when they sleep at your feet, they are invoking this rule. They are saying, I will not always cling to you, but I expect you to live beside me. To break this law is not to abandon them physically, but emotionally, to forget them, to treat them as decoration instead of companion. They will notice, they always notice. But if you honor it, if you allow your lives to intertwine, you create something far greater than ownership. You create belonging. Lastly, the law of witness. Cats expect you to see them not just as creatures, but as beings of history. They carry within them the weight of ancestors who stalked deserts, who guarded temples, who kept watch over sleeping humans when predators still circled the dark. They expect you to recognize that legacy. They expect you to know that when they stand at your door at night, when they tap your cheek as you dream, when they stretch across your chest with eyes unblinking, they are continuing a ritual as old as human civilization. This is not pet behavior, it is priesthood, guardian duty, a living ritual passed through bloodlines unbroken. If you treat it as trivial, you dishonor thousands of years of bond. If you treat it as sacred, you enter the lineage yourself, adopted into the silent order of watchers. Each of these rules adds weight to the contract. They are not arbitrary quirks, not cute eccentricities. They are the living laws of a species that never forgot what it means to guard, to hunt, to protect, to belong. And when you follow them, when you honor them without complaint, you discover what most will never know. The silence of a cat is not absence, it is law being enforced without words. And the Catfather is here to remind you that in this house, rules are not spoken, but they are always obeyed. And now we reach the final chapter of the code, the rule that unites all others, the one that explains why every flick of a tail, every midnight stare, every silent patrol exists. It is the law of family. To a cat, you are not simply the provider of food or the owner of a house. You are the heartbeat they synchronize with, the warmth they regulate, the presence they guard while the world sleeps. They expect you to recognize this truth, to accept the contract in full, that you are no longer alone in your own life. They have claimed you, not as possession, but as kin. This is why they weave through your legs when you walk, why they press their forehead against your hand, why they station themselves at the door in the dead of night. Every act, every ritual, every silence is a reminder. You are theirs, and they are yours. The Catfather calls it what it is, the oldest partnership on Earth, but this bond comes with obligation. You cannot take it lightly. To ignore their needs, to laugh at their laws, to treat them as decoration or entertainment, is to break something far more fragile than glass. It is to break trust, and trust, once shattered, rarely returns. Cats expect you to protect them as they protect you, to honor their autonomy as they honor your presence, to feed them with ritual as they feed you with loyalty. These are not bargains to be negotiated, they are commandments. You follow them not out of fear but out of reverence, because the moment you understand their world, you realize it has always been larger than yours. Look deeper into their eyes, those glowing orbs that pierce the night. Behind them is not a pet, but a sentinel. Behind them is not aloofness, but patience. Behind them is not mystery, but memory. Every cat alive today carries the whispers of those who came before, the temple guardians of Egypt, the hunters who kept famine at bay, the companions who slept on ships that crossed oceans. And now, they carry those same whispers into your home, laying them at your feet, waiting for you to hear. When you fail to listen, they remain silent. When you succeed, they answer with loyalty so fierce it feels like destiny. The unspoken rules are not optional. They are the foundation of coexistence. Respect space, honor touch, align with timing, answer observation, earn loyalty, keep ritual, embrace silence, give recognition, protect their thrones, feed the hunt, acknowledge the meal, respect rejection, share vigilance, mirror emotion, maintain harmony, accept autonomy, give presence, and above all, witness history. 18 laws, invisible but unbreakable, each one etched in their body, each one demanded in your heart. Break them, and you'll find yourself locked out of the circle. Follow them, and you'll experience something few humans ever understand, the trust of a cat fully given. And here lies the paradox. Cats will never tell you these rules. They will never write them down, or whisper them in the night. They will only test you, again and again, until you prove you belong. That is the contract. That is the game. That is the honor. You are expected to stumble, but also expected to learn. The Catfather says it plain. They don't want perfection. They want awareness. They want respect. They want you to see what most overlook. Because when you finally do, when you live by their code without question, the bond transforms. You will no longer see them as pet. You will see them as partner. So the next time your cat sits in silence, the next time they stare without blinking, the next time they vanish into shadow only to reappear at your side, Remember this, you are being tested. Every moment is a question. Every gesture is an exam. Will you follow the unspoken rules, or will you fail them? The choice is yours. But know this, the rewards for passing are beyond measure. A cat's trust is a crown, a protection, a companionship that cuts through loneliness like light through dark. To earn it is to join a lineage stretching back 10,000 years, a family guarded by shadows, bound by silence, sealed with claws. And if you want to go deeper, if you want to learn not just the rules they expect you to follow, but the hidden language they use to speak directly to you, the blinks, the tail flicks, the movements so small they pass unseen, then you need to stay with us, because this is only the beginning. Tonight you've been handed the book of law, but tomorrow you'll be taught the language of kings. The Catfather never sleeps, he never forgets, he never breaks the code, and now neither will you.